What is the plan?
We go tonight.
911, what is your emergency?
Ooh, intense. Janelle Monae takes the spotlight in the psychological thriller Antebellum. The new film follows a modern-day black woman who must escape from a 19th century Southern slave plantation. Devo, you caught up with this incredible cast. This looks really intense, Steve.
It is. It's intense. It's a story that people need to hear about and talk about, and it's a psychological thriller, so it kind of plays on real dreams that people are having, and you know, the writer had a dream similar to this, which is why this film was developed. You know, and was seeing what Janelle's character in one era was seen as well. So Janelle takes on two roles. There's distinct eras, right? Where she plays an enslaved character in a plantation. And in the second one, you saw the selfie that was happening, right? So she's also a character there where she's a sociologist. She's going around as a strong black woman, you know, talking about what's going on to society. She's going on the news networks and doing talks at schools and things like that, where these kind of cross over. So it is, you know, a bit of a psychological, messes with your head a little bit. You got to watch and see what's going on, but it explores these real nightmares historically faced by blacks in the United States of America, of course, and in the world, in certain things, in certain instances, I should say. Chatted with the cast about the uncomfortable conversations that might have happened on the set, because you are talking about a lot of things that are happening that transpired on set, of course, systemic racism, history. Some of the cast also talking about seeing Janelle, who was so good in this, taking on these dual roles and what it was like.
Whoever you were before.
Comparing it to that?
The way Antebellum sort of leads you into the terror and the horror of not only slavery, but also of being a person of color in this country is so visceral that the audience, no matter their race, has no choice but to empathize. A, racism does exist, and two, we can do something about it, and three, stop it, see us for who we are, we're alive, hello.
It's the kind of script that sort of demands those kind of conversations. The discomfort was something that, you know, you sort of take on as a navigational force. Janelle was sort of leading the charge in that. She was leading with her own advocacy of process, of respect, of risk-taking.
Conversations lead to change. Dialogue leads to change. So when we scream defund the police, when we scream abolish the police, we are saying abolish the racist policies, abolish the white supremacy.
This is something that nobody's ever seen Janelle do, because it's going to show her range and her depth.
These urgent times require urgent and unsettling art. Confront the ugly truth of the past so that we can hopefully heal and not allow ourselves to continue to be haunted in our present.
And sometimes film is the platform to do that, right?
And you were just asking me as that clip kind of started running, you were saying, is it kind of like Get Out? And I'm like, ish. That's what it has been compared to a little bit, where it does kind of cross through different times, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and I'm going to say that honestly, but it is something you do need to take in. Because you know, the times it's still a struggle for a lot of people, and that's why it was comparing the two eras of the slavery time to modern day, and it is a very timely topic, of course, and what's going on in the world.
To draw the parallels.
Yeah, and then you get Janelle Monae, who, you know, we've seen in other roles, but not to this point where she's the feature of it. So you know that she's been supporting roles for Hidden Figures and Moonlight. She's the lead role in this, but she dances, she sings, she acts, she does activism. She's always been outspoken about her politics, race, sexuality, etc. She didn't hold back in this interview either. You know, I asked her one question to start, and then we just had this conversation, which was amazing. She opened up about her hope for the future, allyship, and what work we still need to do. That's from her latest Turntables right there, which is a great, great song that she just released last week. Here's Janelle talking about the film and what needs to happen, in her opinion, in the world.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of accountability that needs to happen. And the real work, in my opinion, is going to have to come from white folks. White people are going to have the necessary conversations first, and how they created the systems that they benefit from. Those conversations around the living room, the kitchen, need to focus on why we are even screaming that Black Lives Matter. What does your boardroom look like? How are you dismantling white supremacy? How are you dismantling systemic oppression? Call out microaggressions. Call out other white folks who don't feel it is their priority because of their privilege to protect marginalized people.
Such a powerful interview, Dee. We can listen to that. I wish we had the raw to screen.
And I am going to post the entire interview. It was about 7 or 8 minutes. You're supposed to have like just 4 minutes or so when you do these, right? Because there's a lot of media that are involved in this. When I sat down with Janelle, and you'll see this if you check it out, we'll post it on Instagram. I said to her, I'm like, the most important question I have for you today, because being an activist, doing music, taking on a role like this, with a script like that, could weigh on your mental health. And I said, my most important question for you today is, how are you? And she had to take a moment and kind of collect herself. And she was like, thank you for asking. And that's the conversation we had. It was just real and it was honest. And I learned a lot from listening to her that day.
When asking how are you is a heavy and loaded question. Yeah, and you want to know the answer. It's not just a, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted, and I was happy to listen and learn from Janelle that day. So if everybody wants to check that out, they can check it out on Instagram as well. Video on demand is where you can check out Antebellum starting today.
Awesome.
It is a great film and something that you should consume if you can.
Thanks, Dee. Looking forward to seeing that entire interview. Coming up.